And today we'll go ahead and have a training for the 2-foot high kick, kneel jump, and one-hand reach. We'll start with video tutorials and demonstration and questions for each event. And at the end, we'll have Q&A sessions and along with in between any questions that you guys have. I'll start off with our N7 channel films video. Oh, I need to do a new share with my sound. Is that not showing up? I don't think that's showing up. Do you guys see the video? Maybe it's a full screen. Oh, okay. It just went to full screen.
This event is called the 2-foot high kick. Kay will start by standing approximately an arm's length away from the string with her fists closed. The ball height is set at approximately mid-height. This is a good starting height. From here, she will jump off of 2 feet, kick with both feet, and land on both feet, maintaining her balance after she kicks. She must keep her feet even. They can be together or apart or connected right at the heels. When she jumps, she should be jumping straight up, bringing her knees and feet up towards the ball, and then landing on both feet, maintaining her balance either by sticking it or hopping around until she has control of her landing. It should look like this. After each successful attempt, the ball is raised approximately 4 inches at a time. Every time the ball is raised, Kay gets 3 attempts. She can also take a step or 2 back, but she must continue to jump off of both feet at the same time, kick with both feet, and land on both feet. You'll see here Andrew is using his arms, exploding off of his feet, bringing his knees up to his chest, extending his legs and feet up to the ball, while pushing his arms back down, then back up to help keep his balance as he hops until he catches his balance. Here's an example of a successful kick where both feet are even. Compare it to this, where both feet are not even, resulting in an unsuccessful attempt. The 2-foot high kick was used as a form of communication. A messenger from the hunting crew would run back towards the village. When he had the village in sight, he would do the 2-foot high kick, thus signaling to the village that the hunters had been unsuccessful.
And I'll go ahead and show the 2-foot high kick demonstration that we did for our juniors.
This is the 2-foot high kick. Harry is going to start by standing in front of the ball about an arm's length away with his fist closed. From here, he puts his arms down, jumps off of both feet, kicks the ball, keeping his feet even and parallel. After he kicks the ball, he lands on both feet at the same time, keeping his balance by sticking his landing or hopping around until he catches his balance. This is what it should look like. After each successful kick, the ball is raised 4 inches higher. That's the 2-foot high kick.
And I also have a demonstration or a submission from our juniors for the 2-foot high kick.
Okay, this is 2 foot. Where's the ball? Oh, my finger's in the way, that's why. Okay, female 2-foot high kick. The ball is now at 46 inches. 46. Okay, Caden Jacobson. Go ahead, Caden. Good.
Kyle on yet?
I
No?
don't see him, not yet.
Okay. We'll just go over a couple pointers. One of the things that I notice when I work with athletes is when they are jumping, they're jumping forward. So they lose some of their, instead of jumping up, they're losing some of their height by jumping forward. And a lot of that can be remedied by making sure that they keep their head up and they're not bringing their head down, and that they're following all the way through with their arms until they kick. And when they kick, you saw like Andrew's arms came down as soon as his feet started to come up. And then finding the right approach. And it does not have to be like 10 steps. It can be, most of the time, it's anywhere between 3 and 5 steps. And that gives them enough speed and power without the overspeed and power, which a lot causes them to drift forward. When Kyle does get on, we'll go ahead and have him demonstrate and give some of his tips that he uses for coaching and training too. Any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and move on to the kneel jump. These are all Kyle's favorite games too. Do the kneel jump videos, Adele?
Yeah, sorry, I was maybe
Okay.
waiting for some questions. I do have kneel jump videos. And I just
All
want to add, you know, that if you're new to this event has nothing to do with height, especially if you know Nicole or have met Nicole, has nothing to do with height. You can be less than 5 feet and hold the world record for many, many years. You just have to know the techniques. But I will go ahead and pull up the training videos for kneel jump. Combat controls.
This event is called the kneel jump. Andrew will start by kneeling on the floor with the tops of his feet flat. You are not allowed to use your toes like this. They must be flat. From this position, Andrew will swing his arms or his upper body up and down, or he can take off right from a seated position like this. From here, the object is to jump as far forward as you can, landing on both feet, sticking your landing and maintaining your balance. Andrew will now do his first jump. When he lands, we'll measure the distance from the heel that is closest to the start line. Andrew gets 3 attempts to go as far as he can. The athlete who jumps the furthest distance wins this event. Here's a closer look at the kneel jump. It is okay for the knees to come up off the floor before they jump. You want to swing your arms back, explode forward until your body is straight. Pull your knees up and throw your heels forward, sticking your landing. Here's another look at the kneel jump in real time. The kneel jump was played to develop the skills hunters needed for jumping up quickly off of ice or from the ground in the event they needed to get away from another animal that snuck up behind them.
And now the demonstration we did in-house with CITC for our juniors.
This is the kneel jump. Harry's going to start by kneeling on the floor behind a line. The tops of his feet are flat. You'll notice he is barefoot. This gives the athlete a better grip on the floor. They can also wear shoes and socks or mucklucks. From this position, Harry's going to swing his arms back and forth to help him jump as far forward as he can, landing on both feet at the same time and maintaining his balance. This is the kneel jump. After he jumps, we'll measure from the heel that is closest to the start line to the nearest 1/4 inch. Harry jumped 18 inches. That is the kneel jump.
Now an example from junior NYO of the
Ruby Thomas, 5th grade, Mockintons Elementary, kneel jump, attempt 1 of 3.
From my shortest foot, yeah. Looks like 31 3/4. Yeah, I do 31 3/4.
So preferably we'd like to see the tape measure from the heel back to the start line to get a better measurement. For the kneel jump, as far as training goes, one thing that I really try to stress with the kids is really trying to extend completely straight out if they can, like they showed in the first video, and then pulling your knees up towards your chest and throwing your heels out in front. So forward, landing on the base of your heels. So exploding like Superman, I call it, you need to Superman, pull your knees up and throw your heels. There's also, when I was competing in nail jump, my furthest jumps were after I had done about 6 or 7 warm-up jumps. So I did some light warm-ups, but after I did 6 or 7 full-on jumps, my like 8th, 9th, and 10th jumps were my furthest jumps. So I really had to get good and warmed up before I could get my furthest jumps. Kyle's in the waiting room.
Yes, he is.
Hello.
Kyle, we missed you.
I thought it was 6 like Thursday. I forgot it was 5.
That's okay, no problem.
I was actually just sitting here too.
Oh,
It's like I got a whole
We
30
just-
minutes.
We just covered the 2-foot high kick videos and the nail jump videos. Some of the things that I mentioned for 2-foot high kick was making sure that when they're jumping straight up, or that they're jumping straight up and not drifting forward and losing that height, and to help keep their upper body straight and not pulling their head down, really making sure that they're keeping their head up and using their arms to help keep their upper body straight. So if you want to go over some 2-foot high kick coaching, that'd be great.
Sure. I actually collected some photos to show different examples if I could share. And then,
You're
all
the
right.
host.
I made you
Thank
host. You'll just have to give it back when you're finished because
Okay.
give me the option again.
So, oops. So there's several things you want to look at when you're coaching an athlete in 2-foot or 1-foot is the takeoff and making sure they have what I call full extension. So we have a lot of beginners will do like an elbow thrust. So all the way on the left side, you'll have people throw their arms like that. They'll run up to the ball, they'll swing back, and then they'll throw their arms without fully extending. This middle picture is actually my brother. He's almost fully extended. And then that last picture is a full extension. So you wanna make the athlete aware of their takeoff in that full extension, arms completely straight. If you look at the picture, you're swinging those arms straight up, no bend in the arm. That's going to give you the greatest momentum and energy into going straight up. And you can see the toes in each one too, all the way pushing with the toes. So the takeoff is important. The other thing is we always talk about bring your knees up, tuck your knees. And the reason we do that, if we could look at the two pictures, is the guy on the right. If you think about if you're trying to kick with a straight leg, you have to make a much larger arch and bring your leg out much further, and you're gonna have to muscle it more. Versus if you tuck your knee, you have a much smaller arch, and it's milliseconds in difference, but that makes a huge difference for 2 foot. So we always say bring the knees up and then kick. So bringing the knees up, this is what it looks like at different stages. In the beginners, you have a lot of kids kick with straight legs. So what happens is they have to compensate by leaning forward. In the center, we have a partial tuck where the knees come about parallel to the floor. And then this is Andrew Ketchveroff, and he's one of the best 2 foot high kickers in the world. You can see that full tuck, that those knees are pretty much into his chest. And so if you can get into this position in the air by tucking your knees, this is what it looks like when you kick, or we call it the flick. Because when you get your knees up there, it's super fast. It's like a flick, and you're just extending out very fast. It's like a flick. So a beginner, again, you see the straight legs, and look at the arms and legs versus an intermediate form. And then an advanced form, you see the arms and legs really make an X. So you're really bringing those arms down below the legs. That's how you enable yourself to get your feet above your head, which is really, it's almost like being able to go vertical is that like that pinnacle of skill in Alaskan. Being able to bring your feet above your head in 2 foot is that kind of the same thing. And it requires tucking and bringing your arms, exchanging your arms down to get your legs up. So flexibility, training your athletes for flexibility is important too. And then I got a couple photos or videos to show different skill levels. So this is the beginner, a kid. Look at the arms. So straight-legged, arms don't swing, but pretty good for her age. And then this is a middle schooler. Again, the arms don't fully extend. And then this is Ezra, and we could look at it, and I would say this intermediate kick. So if we were to coach Ezra in this one, I would say, and Ezra's actually here with me. Look at how far he takes off from the ball. So in 2 foot, you really need to get close. This is where he takes off. And he sails forward. And he actually kicks past the ball, but he's still too far from it because you're really wanting to kick up and not forward. And if we could find the moment where he tucks, right there, you see his legs are parallel with the floor instead of into his chest. And so what happens is when he kicks, his legs go straight out instead of up. So they don't quite reach above his head. So I want to show you Andrew Ketchveroff. This is what we might consider a perfect kick. This is, I think, Arctic Winter Games 2018, 8 feet 4 inches or 8 feet 6 inches. So look at that tuck. And he just nicks the ball there.
That's 8-6.
8-6.
Yeah.
So you'd watch it one more time. Look at the full extension on takeoff. And then the knees all the way into the chest.
He's also the athlete in the training video.
Yep, yeah. So those are my tips for 2 foot. Any questions? Let's see Ezra do a kick. And have Ezra kick.
Okay.
And I think I was too close. But yeah, really, telling your athletes, because as the ball gets higher, they need to kick closer and closer. And I think as they start building up their skills and start getting to higher heights, they're not used to jumping so close to the ball.
Right. All right, any questions for 2 foot? We just finished the kneel jump as well. So if you want to move into the kneel jump coaching techniques, just so you guys know, Kyle is really good at both the 2 foot high kick and the kneel jump. That's the 2, I think, games that he excels at the most.
I have a question
Sure, go
on
ahead,
the
Teresa.
on the 2 foot kick. One of my students was kicking and he kept going beyond the ball just like a quarter of an inch. What is he doing wrong?
So is he kicking like on the other side from him?
Yeah.
He's could
One of
probably
two
bring
things.
his knees up higher to his chest and kick. Because what if we saw in some of those photos, a lot of times they're bringing their knees up. And if you only bring them this high, you're kicking straight out. But you want to bring them up here, so you're kicking upward. That makes sense. I wouldn't say for him to move away from the ball, because they want to start getting that habit of kicking closer and closer to the ball. And so it's a new technique they have to learn, tucking the knees to their chest. And maybe that's in practice, spending more time on that stretching, something like a pike stretch like this, either pointed or flexed. This is going to be really important, because if they can't do this on the ground, it's going to be really hard for them to do this in the air, right? So they might just need some more flexibility training, and just telling them, bring your knees to your chest.
They could also be drifting, jumping too far away and kicking past. So they're just off target.
Okay, thank you.
And feel free to shoot a video and text it to me. Or I can look at that student in practice.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want me to go into 2 foot? I mean, kneel jump?
Yep, go right ahead,
Okay.
right in the kneel jump.
Okay, I'm gonna have Ezra show us the kneel jump, because you usually don't want to do this on a carpet, so I brought a mat in here. But normally in a competition, you're on a hardwood floor. Shoes and socks off. If they're really trying to learn this game and go for distance, they need to have the bare skin on contact with the floor, because they're gonna get the best grip. The best grip comes from the top of your foot here. And when I compete, I actually tear that skin off, because I'm using that skin as traction. And so Ezra is sitting there, and what I tell my athletes to do is push on the ground and push back. If he's sliding back, he doesn't have grip, and he's not going to have anything to push off of. Sometimes if their legs are like really dry, then you could maybe use like a wet towel, just wipe it. Usually warm. You want something warm that's going to open up their pores and allow them to have better traction on the floor. Sometimes, like if your feet are just coming out of your shoes, and if they're not too sweaty but they're warm, that's usually good. You'll have good grip. Yeah, so let's see Ezra do an example of kneel jump. Landing, and landing shoulder width or wider, it's helpful. A lot of beginners are going to land like with their feet together, and they're going to lose their balance. Landing wide also helps get your feet under you. So do it again, Ezra. Part of it is you want to jump almost like a 45-degree angle, so you're going up and forward. And sometimes that means bringing your legs around the side so they don't hit the floor. And then let's watch, just like 2 foot, you actually want the same full extension. If you remember that photo I showed you with my arms straight and my legs all the way to my toes, it's actually almost the exact same thing, but you're like planked out in a vertical position. So let's see if Ezra how much extension he gets before his jump. your
Earlier,
legs
that's
left.
what I was referring to as the Superman. So it's like
Superman,
you're
yeah.
taking off the ground and you're Supermaning to take off.
So go ahead, give it a try, Ezra. So that was good extension, but what I noticed is he didn't push off enough with his feet, and it was almost like a stall. So there's like a combo of getting that grip as well. And that's how come we always say no shoes or socks.
And he went more up than at an angle.
Yeah, I have a photo, I think here too, of, actually yeah. It's actually from the video you just watched, but it's a freeze frame, so I might as well show it. Okay, right there, there's Andrew. Full extension. And then here's a landing. So really kicking those legs forward. And you can see this particular athlete landed between his legs. He was probably reaching so far forward that by having that wide stance, he was able to reach between his legs and get that landing. Sometimes we do practice on a blue mat because these blue mats are really grippy and they're easier than a wood floor. So you don't want to get them too reliant on a blue mat. But what it's going to help them with is understand the grip that's coming from the top of their foot. Because sometimes they're not sure what that grip is supposed to feel like. But on a blue mat, you can get some really good traction to push off of. And so it's good for building that form. And then eventually they need to really practice on a hardwood surface.
A yoga mat is really good to practice on. It has a nice grip, but it's not so padded that they're still getting that grip, but also that firmness of the floor beneath them.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions about kneel jump? All right, last event, the one hand reach. Adele, go ahead and share those videos. And then we'll have Kyle follow up.
I do not have a junior video for this, but I do have our
N7, that's fine.
videos. Am I sharing? No, I'm not.
This is the one hand reach, also known as the one arm reach. Kay will start by kneeling on the floor, placing one hand on the floor between her legs, either flat palmed or up on her fingers or on her knuckles. For now, she'll balance on her flat palm. She will then take her elbow and place it inside her hip bone to balance on. Using her other hand, she'll reach forward, then push her knees and feet behind her, keeping her shoulder up as high as she possibly can while she balances, then reaches up to touch the ball, balances, showing she's in control before she sets the rest of her body down on the floor. After each successful round, the ball is raised in 4-inch increments until you get down to the last 3 athletes. Each athlete is given 3 attempts at each height to touch the ball. Once again, she'll balance, reach, balance without any part of her body touching the floor, then she can set herself back down. This is the one hand reach. The one hand reach is one of the most difficult events. Here are some coaching tips. An athlete must keep their shoulder up as high as they possibly can while they are attempting to reach. This hand should have very little pressure on it. It should only be there to help steady. When he pushes off of this hand, his shoulder should stay up while he reaches. Comes back down just to help him steady. To help keep your shoulder up, arch your back and keep your knees and feet as low to the floor as possible. After you catch your balance, you only need to show control before setting the rest of your body down. The one-hand reach is a game that was played during the wintertime to help keep the native peoples of the North in shape. They could play this game inside during the long, cold winter months to help build strength, endurance, agility, and concentration.
And what I had, unless maybe Kyle, you had a different one, was an example from our last year's submissions. And funny, it's actually Ezra. So an example of our submissions from our first virtual event last year.
Pull it. Okay, measure. Okay, 60 inches.
Those are the two that I have. I didn't have a junior at one since we didn't do it for junior. Do you want me to hand host to you?
No, I'll just show the, Ezra will show it live here.
Sounds good.
So you could bring the ball down, Ezra. So the tip for beginners is lining up. Do it a little bit lower. Start lower. You're gonna have a lot of beginners want to reach to the side, but you always want to line up with the ball straight in front of you. So you're reaching forward, and as it goes higher, you're reaching up like this. This should be the progression. Instead of reaching to the side, sometimes you'll have kids or beginners reaching behind them almost, which is something you can correct in their form, because they want to line up, looking at the ball, reaching forward. And then
One
go ahead,
thing
give it a try.
One thing that does is it helps them catch their balance because they're reaching forward, and when they come back down, their hand is right in front of them and they can put that weight on that hand in front of them.
Yeah. So actually now let's show a higher, you could raise it back up. So Ezra is going to show us a higher height, and to get these higher heights, it's about repositioning your torso to be straight up. And so a lot of athletes, what they have to do is get one or both your legs underneath you. So you're changing your center of gravity to be underneath you so that your torso from leaning forward is now straightening, and you're getting much more length with your reach. So let's see Ezra give us a reach. So you saw that one knee forward can be helpful in counterbalancing his back leg so he can sit straight up. Some athletes will go, I'll give it. And I take off my shoes. It makes my feet slightly smaller so you don't accidentally touch the floor with your feet. You can line up, and my legs, I'll do it facing you so you can see both my legs are in front of me. Keeping the legs tucked in. That's how I pretty much reach like I'm sitting up, versus a lot of beginners. You got your leg back here. You're not going to be able to get your torso up unless you can get your legs under you. And for more experienced athletes, if they've got that flat palm, if they move to their fist, usually that's the next progression, is flat palm. Once they learn the balance, they can try fist. And then once they really got the balance there, they could try bridge. I usually say doing bridge last because you might roll your thumb. but those positions, bridge and fist, are gonna more easily allow you to get your legs under you. For me to go flat palm is really hard because I barely have any space to clear the floor. But if I go bridge or fist, then I have space to actually tuck my legs in. So it's actually a core workout to get your legs tucked underneath you.
And quads, got to pull those quads come up too.
Yeah, big quads, big time quads. Anything else to add?
A lot of kids, when they are first balancing, they put a lot of weight on that front hand. And as soon as they push off of the ground, their body falls forward. So they use that front hand to help them balance. And as soon as they let go, then their front of their body falls down. Yep, just like that. So they really, really want them to make sure that they're only using that front hand to help them balance. So when they do lift it up off the floor, that they're not falling forward.
Sometimes you can have people practice by holding on a chair or some platform, just practicing that balance. You can grab the higher point.
And a lot too is building the strength in their wrist and their hand for keeping that balance so they don't get tired. Any questions for Kyle? Awesome. Well, that's our coaching and training techniques for, geez, what did we just do? 2-foot kneel jump and 1-hand reach. Brian earlier asked about some warm-up techniques, and I sent him a list of dynamic warm-ups, which Adele also emailed out to everyone. So Kyle, if you have anything else to add, you could reply to all on that email for additional warm-ups and training techniques.
Okay. You want me to?
Right.
Okay.
Teresa, Tyler, and Brian, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope you're enjoying beautiful weather like we have here in Anchorage. Well, I know Teresa's enjoying it. She's got some nice sunshine out her window, just like I do. Tyler, how's the weather down there in Val?
Blue skies today. Blue skies.
Nice.
Yeah, a little windy, but thank you again. This is awesome. Really
Yeah,
helps.
absolutely. Darlene, did you just come on or have you been on?
I think she came on when, oh,
I just got on because my daughter left on the evening flight and I had to run her down to the airport.
Oh, shucks. Okay. We just finished